Thursday, February 2nd, 2023. Carrying on listening to Bridgewater, Jeremy and Anne unexpectedly came across something while searching through the woods that is potentially dangerous. The audio drama The Icarus Complex, that's returned for season... Is it season 6? Oh no, season 5 it is. So look, Liam carries on trying to move forward after the events of the end of season 4, seeing him getting together with an older lady in this first episode of season 5. The writer-creator Lyndon, who I've had on Pod Like Us before, has kept up the quality that's remained throughout the entirety of the show's history. Turn over the page. Friday, February 3rd, 2023. Now then, I've got a little note on here. Yep, mix the podcast listening with some listening to songs from what's called the Form, FAWM, February Album Writing Month, Songwriting Challenge. Left some comments on some of the songs that I listened to or checked out. Included in this, for those people that are listening that are doing Form or interested in it, I came across a new form that is known as New Uke, New York. That's uke as in ukulele, and it's all one word. Newuke, Newyork. He's got a great voice and he's a really good ukulele player and writes some songs that have great wordplay in the lyrics. So, also listen to On the Night Train by the Merry Beggars. Episode 16 sees things getting tricky for the Mallard family. I'm not sure that I would have gone quite this way to this degree, but, well, in the way that this episode's gone. But then again, I'm not a writer of audio dramas, and there's people who are much better than me at this stuff, and these people are much better because this version of, this audio drama is great, and I loved their version of A Christmas Carol as well. Bill Reads Bad Reviews saw Bill looking at a film that I've never even knew existed, and I'm sort of glad that I hadn't, perhaps. And it was what is apparently a dreadful film called Master of Disguise that stars Dana Carvey. Dana Carvey, who was Garth in Wayne's World and Wayne's World 2. Listen to the trailer for Let's Make a Rom-Com, which reminds me that I need to finish season 1, which was Let's Make a Sci-Fi. I started that, didn't finish it. All these shows that I start but don't get to finish, or that I'm far behind on. Saturday, February the 4th, 2023. A breath of fresh air. Listen to this episode where Sandy spoke with the saxophonist clarinetist John Helliwell of Supertramp, who's also played on the Pink Floyd album A Momentary Lapse of Reason. I'm glad that the Supertramp guys still got on with each other, and that John has played since with both Rick Davies, who stayed with Supertramp as one of the two main writers of the group, and that he also still plays with Roger Hodgson, who is the other person that used to be one of the main two honchos of the group, or the main two writers, creative forces. Because I'm a big fan of the band Supertramp, and I love them to bits. I think they're a great band. Comic Book Nation, something that jumped out to me from that is that I agree with Matt Aguilar that we could now see Detective Chimp in either film or TV form, now that we've got James Gunn and Peter Safran in charge of the DC film and TV universe. And I say, whatever they're going to do, bring it on, let's see what happens. Where are we going to now? Turns the page. Oh, yep. Create Magic. I'm continuing to listen to these great stories behind Todd's artwork. Hearing about what inspires his creativity is absolutely fascinating. Feedback with earbuds. I listened to a few of these during the period of, my listening at work for the weekend and whatever, those 5 shifts. And should probably, let's have a look, listen to a few of those, and should probably do a take on We Didn't Start the Fire to list the shows mentioned in this great podcast recommendation show from the wonderful Ariel Nissenblatt. Why the heck haven't I written that out so I could do it as a post thing after this? Marv, get onto that for the future. Where are we? Sunday, February the 5th, 2023. Episode 1 of Pods Like Us Season 7 came out, which most of you who are following the feed will have seen, I hope, and I'm really proud of it. Great chat with the author, critic, journalist and podcaster Alan Kozin. Alan is one of the 3 presenters of Things We Said Today, which is a Beatles related podcast. He's also one of the 2 co-writers with Adrian Sinclair of The McCartney Legacy, Volume 1, 1969 to 1973, which I think is one of the greatest books about McCartney, because it's got so much in there, and that's what most of the chat was on about, if I'm being honest, because that book just is amazing. It's a really good book. Listen to more Bridgewater. Jeremy and Anne question people after the events from the previous episode. Finally got to listen to another episode of Adam and Craig's Guilty Pleasure Cinema. It's been a long while, guys, and I'm sorry. There's a lot of podcasts for me to listen to out there. The guys looked at the 80s Tom Cruise classic, shall we say, Cocktail, and gave expert feedback based on their own history as bartenders themselves. Especially Adam, he's quite something in the bartending world, apparently. What we got? Oh yeah, Rich and Jimmy do a panto. Great behind the scenes look at them being part of a group putting together a pantomime. They chat with cast and crew and discuss how it's all coming together. Bad Counsel, not safe for work listening, or listening with young ones, shall we say. Mentions of the Pina Colada song, where I've always thought personally it's about a couple that are looking to potentially cheat on each other. It's not a romantic song. Some people think that, in the end they were right for each other and that's what the song's all about. I mean, you can take it that way, but to my mind, it's 2 people that are bored with the relationship that they're having, and they're looking to see if they can do something to liven, spice up their own lives, sexually or relationship-wise, and then suddenly realise that they're interested in the same things after all. So, woohoo, hey. But yeah, it's not a romantic song at all. Other than that, listeners asked about penis surgery, ghosting and overprotective parents. Vintage Rock Pod, there was a great interview with Rod Argent of the Zombies and Argent, both bands that I love, of course. Seeking Tarot, great look at tarot cards and a reading from Snow, which I'm glad that he's back doing that, and I'm really enjoying listening to that. When There Was Fab, this is the Fab, pun intended, first part of a chat that Ed and John also had with Alan Kozin, about the book The McCartney Legacy, Volume 1. And then I listened to an episode of Create Magic, the first time I've listened to one of these where Todd actually chats with somebody. So it's a chat show version of the show, and he chatted with Jordan Heath of the podcast Campfire, Tales of the Strange and Unsettling. And Jordan's been on my show before. We had a great conversation there, and subjects include the strange, the weird and the unsettling, as well as music, art and the world of podcasting. Right, let's have a look. Oh, yep. Monday, February the 6th of 2023. The Jerry Anderson podcast included a great interview from the archives with the late Keith Shackleton, who was the former head of marketing at Century 21. He was also great friends with Jerry from back when they were in the RAF together. Tracing Owl saw Vuk chatting with Fred Anderson about the writings of Gray Barker, a gay man who wrote about UFOs and other strange, cool paranormal activity. They looked into how his homosexuality came through, disguised through his writing, in a world where he couldn't come out of the closet, unfortunately. I've enjoyed listening to some episodes of Face the Music, an Electric Light Orchestra song by song podcast, where they're looking at music from the pre-ELO days, such as at this time I listened to a couple about songs by Mike Sheridan and the Night Riders, who at different times included Roy Wood from Electric Light Orchestra and Jeff Lynne from Electric Light Orchestra. Between two mics saw Dan chatting with the tech provocateur Dave Kellogg, and they were looking at what they expect to see in the future of podcasting and technology. During listening to The Book Realm, D.L. Vester mentioned that there is a graphic novel version of 1984 by George Orwell, a book that I've read back when I had time to actually read. Oh yes. Grumble Goat saw me crying with laughter, particularly at Matt's comment where he called Veronique Dr. Preload. If you listen to the episode about toilet roll, you'll know what they're on about. I really enjoyed my first listen to the podcast version of Pod Bible, where they chatted with Dan from No Such Thing as a Fish, got recommendations from Kate Thornton, and chatted with Beatty and Rose from Birthday Girls House Party. But anyway, before I go and forget about it, a message to the guy behind the Heard This podcast. Phil Spector did not produce Born to Run by Bruce Springsteen. Mike Apple and John Landau did. But other than that, fascinating show. Just so that I don't forget to say this, if you want to listen to the episode with Alan Kozin about that book and about that podcast and about journalism and being a critic, it should be in the feed just before this episode on your chosen platform of choice, which, you're listening to right now. Anyway, thank you everyone for listening. Take care.